Thanks for tuning in to our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon FBA site for sale in the camping niche. This business was created in August 2014, and the business makes $50,996 per month in net profit. And the listed number for this business is 40612. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business to cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Tope.
Thank you very much, Greg. Yeah, glad to be on.
Yeah, for sure. Before we dive into the questions here, just to our quick summary out there for our listeners. This business was built in August 2014, as I mentioned, as a monthly revenue of $163,992 and expenses of $112,996 for a total net profit of $50,996, and that is over a 12-month average. With the sale also includes all the Amazon US, UK, and German products, the domain, and the social media accounts. So Tobe, this is a pretty big business that we got going on here and looks super solid. It's 12-month average. It's producing a very healthy profit. Can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses? Is this kind of your first one, or have you been at this game for a while?
I've kind of been at the game for a while, but not really in the Amazon FBA business. So I've done a lot of, I'm actually a programmer. I'm a developer by trade, put it that way. So I used to make iOS apps, and then we basically used to run mobile apps and then market those ones online as well. So this business is actually my first foray into e-commerce. And so I would say that I'm a little bit experienced, but more experienced with more programming and technical stuff.
Oh, that's really interesting. Really knocked it out of the park for your first time, huh?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's something that it was fun building it. It was really a lot of fun, and I think it's something that I'm actually happy that I did. So good to know that.
That's great. So how did you come up with this idea? Without giving away the niche, what was it about this one in particular that made you, I want to make a product about this?
Well, it mostly had to do with research, because basically before you start an Amazon FBA business, you want to make sure that you're selling in a niche that it's not too competitive, but then has a lot of volume, right? So the sports and outdoor niche is actually, it's not as big as the health and fitness niche, but then there are a lot of people that like, doing this specific outdoor activity. So that was one of the reasons why we got into that. And it's something that we have people in the family that do very similar outdoor activities. So I was able to get a lot of background research from them and then get their ideas into actually putting some of their ideas into the products.
Very cool. For someone that is not familiar with Amazon FBA, or maybe might be totally brand new to online businesses in general, could you just give a brief background on how this business makes money?
So how this business makes money is we sell products for a certain market on Amazon. Right, so we have about 7 or 8 products, right? A little bit more SKUs depending on the colors and all that. But then what we do is we source these products from Asia, from China specifically. Sometimes some of our products are sourced from Taiwan. And we import this into the UK, into the US, and into Germany. And then we list this on Amazon. And then we do the marketing. And hopefully, if we do things right, Amazon tends to pick up on the traction that we have, and then helps us to push our product, and then we make more profits that way.
Yeah, that is a great synopsis of how Amazon FBA works. So why are you selling the business? Why not keep it and grow it?
Yeah, well, a couple of reasons. Well, actually, the main reason is to raise some capital for some other ideas that I have. I mean, you probably know as an entrepreneur, right, you have this kind of ADD where you actually have a lot of ideas that you want to implement, and you just don't want to sit on your hands and not try to implement them. So that's one reason, raise cash. And then we also want to diversify our portfolio, right? So it's a family-run business. Myself and my wife, we run it together. So this is our largest business, right? So at the moment, we don't want it to be just this one, right? So we want to have a couple of other businesses that we can have just in case, one has an issue, and then we're basically diversifying our risk, basically.
Yeah, that makes total sense. We actually deal with quite a few buyers that are in that kind of position. They have, a huge business, they sell that business, and then they diversify into several different online businesses or even offline businesses. So yeah, that makes total sense. That's a great reason to sell. As far as the history of the business goes, what was the trajectory of this business the first few weeks and months? You mentioned that you did quite a bit of research before actually pulling the trigger and getting the product and putting it on Amazon. So did you get customers pretty quickly or did it take a while?
Initially, it took a while because, first of all, I was a newbie at the Amazon game. I didn't know how to market that product. But then, of course, being the kind of person I am, I actually had to dig deep to buy some courses and find out actually how to get things moving. Right now, with the expertise that we have, which we can always share with the seller on how to promote products on Amazon, I'm normally able to get up and running on Amazon within 3 months and break even. And then after that, we should be earning profits after the 3 month mark. That's what we always tend to achieve. And if it doesn't happen with either kind of product, or then we try and move into other new products. So that's what we try to do. But then we know how it works, and we can always share with the seller how to implement that as well.
Now, is there anything you learned from this business in particular that you're going to take and apply to your future businesses?
Yeah, so the new businesses that we're trying to run, they're all going to be e-commerce businesses. So, but then we're planning to do like diversify into Shopify stores and also sell on other platforms as well. So what's going to help us from this business is like sourcing products from suppliers. That's one thing that's common amongst all businesses, all the ones we're going to be running. So I guess the experience of being able to get good products and get good high quality products from Asia, it's actually something that I think I've learned while doing this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sourcing is a huge component of any e-commerce business. What have you
Yeah.
tried with this business that didn't work? Any lesson learned there?
We've had a couple of failed products. Well, not every product that we launch tends to do well. So
Go
right now we have
figure.
yeah, exactly. Right now we have about seven, but I can tell you that in the last 2 years, we've probably launched about 22 products. And right now, the seven that are doing well are the ones that basically made it through, right? So the good thing about it is like the margins are able to support this, right? So if I was able to have like basically what is the 30% success rate of launching products, and the margins of the successful products are able to work well and give you good net profits, even though you have some failed products, then this is a very good business to be in. Going back to your question was what went wrong. So yeah, the products that failed had issues to do with getting bad suppliers, trying to go too cheap, like maybe probably trying to like get really cheap products, and then of course that doesn't work out well. So what we've noticed is that coming out from the gate is best to even pay a little bit more for better quality, for real good quality, because that always shines through at the end. Customers love high quality products, so that's what we've learned from that.
I can't agree with you more, man. A lot of people in the Amazon FBA space, at least when they're starting out, because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
anyone that makes it, they tend to learn their lesson when it comes to that. It's just because China is known for cheapness, it doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean that you should be cheap with your product.
exactly.
Quality overall sells the best, and definitely high quality products is going to create the biggest profit, in my opinion. Obviously, yours too,
Yep.
from your experience.
We learned the hard way. In our garage right now, I have about $20,000 worth of products just sitting there doing nothing because they're basically crap, right? So I'm looking for a way of disposing of them right now.
What is that old UK saying? Pound foolish and penny wise,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
My
Learned the hard
sister,
way.
she actually has a few yoga pants locked up in her room, just like cartons of the boxes for her own failed experiment. So that,
Oh yeah,
but
I can imagine.
yeah. As far as breakdown goes with your traffic and social and all that stuff, where is the traffic coming from for your Amazon sales? Or do you find that it's mainly from Amazon, or are you doing other kind of marketing to send more customers your way?
Most of the traffic comes from Amazon internally, right? So a lot of our products rank on the loads of keywords, right? So mostly on page one about keywords, since we know how to implement that, right? But then we do run traffic. If you probably see from the breakdown from the stats, right, on the net income, we do a lot of paid traffic. It's mostly for the initial stages of the products, right? So we need to promote them, get Amazon to notice our products right up front, right? So that's where most of our traffic comes from initially. But then when we get to the level that we want to, we tend to see that the internal traffic from Amazon does really well for us.
What's the breakdown on the earning type with this business? You mentioned you had 7 products. Do you find that
Mhm.
one is getting the lion's share of that, or are they all spread out kind of evenly?
They tend to change, right, for some reason. For the past 3, 4 months, we've had one product that's actually one of the top earners. But that same product was actually one of the laggards, like last year, for example, right? I don't know why. It can be seasonality because they're all sporting goods, but it just tends to, it probably depends on when or what kind of work you do for the product, right? Because we do a lot of testing just to make sure to find out what helps or what works on the listings, right? So coming back to your question, I would try to break it down across the countries. I would say the US does most of our income, right? And then we have Germany and the UK, so accounts in both countries. So I would say those two combined are probably about 40%, and then about 60% of the revenue comes from the products in Amazon US.
Now, for your, just since you brought up the UK and Germany, for Germany at least, is your listing in German or is that English listing on Amazon, or how does that work?
No, it is in German. So we hired a couple of contractors to translate our listings to German, and then we list that on the. And we also hire contractors that do customer support in German. So we have the business comes with about 2 or 3 customer support people that are willing to move ahead with. I mean, go on with the new sellers, and they do customer support. One in the US, one in the UK, and then one in Germany.
Very cool. How stable are the earnings, would you say, in terms of does it fluctuate month in, month out? Is it highly seasonal, or do you find it's pretty steady throughout the year?
It's pretty steady throughout the year. Probably have a couple of down months in January and February, but once we kick into March, people tend to start, going outdoors again. So that ramps up. And then what's very, very good is Amazon has 2 times of the year where they do a lot of deals, which we get invited for, lightning deals. I don't know if you heard about that. So on Prime Day, for example, if you probably see from the graph, we were invited to do a deal. Did like, I don't know, maybe 5x, I think about 3x the sales that we did in the past 2, 3 months, right? Another good time is also, as usual, Black Friday throughout the Q4 period. So this time, actually, right now in September, is probably the best time for someone to come in because the next 5, 6 months are really going to be good, I think.
Excellent. As far as your sourcing goes, do you have mainly one factory or do your 7 products come from a multitude of factories?
We have one factory doing about 3 of our products, and then the rest are from multiple factories. So let me just try and think. Yeah, we have about 4 or 5 suppliers, depending on the skills here.
And are they exclusive with you, with your brand, or how did you go about doing that?
Of course, they do supply products for other companies, but then our products are branded, right? We don't sell generic products, so we have branded products, branded packaging. So they do that for us.
Excellent. I'm assuming you're shipping via ship, right? Or I guess with Germany it would be via train, or are you doing it via plane?
Actually, most of the time we actually air freight our products straight into the US and straight into Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the margins are actually very good, and mostly it's always because we're not very good with inventory management, right? We tend to run out of stock pretty quickly, which is a good problem to have. But then we always tend to rush stock in just to make sure that we stay in stock. So one of the questions that was asked during the interview was, how can a new seller improve on this, right? So a new seller can improve on this by actually doing better inventory management and then shipping things earlier and then getting, I think another extra 10 to 15% margin on the products.
Yeah, that amazes me. You do it via air. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So to move on here, if you wanted to keep this business, let's say you wanted to grow this business yourself, you're not going to sell it, what would you do that would be the least risky path to grow this business?
Yeah, problem with an Amazon FBA business is that you don't have low risk. It's very capital intensive, right? So you do need to outlay a lot of cash to get a lot of cash back, but the margins are great. So I guess more risk, more gain in that sense. So I would say, again, first, as I just said, right, the best thing to do right now is to do better inventory management, order earlier, 3 to 4 months out, and ship by sea. That already gives you an extra 10% margin on the products. Second thing is to expand into more European markets. We're only in UK and Germany. We're probably thinking of expanding into France. We haven't done that yet, but I think with the kind of products that we have, they will do well in France as well. And also the idea of expanding in Europe, which is not as saturated as the US market, is also a good idea as well.
Yeah, I agree. That is a great strategy. I wanted to ask, you mentioned you've had a few failed products. Obviously, you have seven very successful products. Do you have a certain kind of guideline or SOP perhaps that you use to decide on what type of product to experiment with?
So one thing that we always do is we always do inspections on site before we ship our products, right? So most of the failed products either had things to do, had issues with quality or, yeah, it was mostly quality issues. So now we've tried to minimize that by actually doing, so we have a team on site in China. I mean, they're not hired by us. I mean, they are contractors, right? So they go there, they inspect the product and then make sure that everything is okay before we actually pay the balance and then ship the products. Yeah, so that's the main thing that we do to make sure that we don't have failed products, I mean, going forward. Then, of course, again, the second thing is the other reason why products fail is when you don't have enough profit margins, right? So we make sure we calculate our profit margins exactly before we actually do source new products. So we have to make sure we add details about shipping, duty, taxes, Amazon fees, and shipping, like Amazon FBA fees as well. So to bake all that in before we actually do some sourcing, because we didn't see that before. I mean, we get a product in and then find out that margins are not great enough, for example.
Makes sense. As far as your quality control person or team rather over in China, is that similar to like a sourcing agent or?
Yes, they are like a sourcing agent. That's one of their jobs. They actually go in there and then do inspections as well.
That's good. That will probably help the new buyer to actually find factories that can make the products that they're looking to make if they do decide to expand upon them.
Yes, exactly.
Now, what would you do with this business? Let's say you wanted to grow it incredibly fast as possible, and you didn't care about how risky you were being about it. What would you do?
Yeah. If you give me $1 million, right? What I would do is launch more variations of the products that we have, right? Since the market is proven, right? I mean, the products are proven. So for example, if we sell one item, right, we could sell a different color. We could sell a more expensive version. We could sell a cheaper version. So that way we can get more market share, right? So I don't know if in the UK, for example, there are companies like PC World and Currys, for example. There are two different companies owned by the same person, but then they sell products for different ends of the market. So that's what I would do, right? Because I'm sure there are people on Amazon that want to buy the more expensive premium products, some that want to buy maybe the cheaper ones, and then you can have more. So I would basically just launch more variations of the products that we have across the board.
That's actually a pretty good idea. Back where I'm from, there's a furniture chain that does exactly that. They have seven different stores, but they're all different branded for serving different levels of the market. You know, from the cheap end to the high end to the extreme, like luxurious high end. And that's
Exactly.
a really strong strategy. 'Cause like you said, you already have the process down on how to get the products and everything. So, and
Hmm.
it's a proven market. Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to actual risk here, what do you think the biggest risk is for a buyer that is looking at buying this business? What should they be aware of?
Well, the big risk which everybody knows about is Amazon, right? Amazon is they can do anything to your listing at any time, right? We've had sometimes listings shut down for maybe a couple of weeks at a time, right? Actually, it hasn't happened that often. It's happened, I think, once or twice, right? But then that always gives you that nervous feeling. But then the good thing about this is like we tend to stay in the good, like we don't do any gray hat stuff. We tend to stay in the good books of Amazon. So that definitely mitigates a lot of that risk. But then you never know what Amazon can do or what changes they can make because they own the platform, right? That's the biggest risk.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, that's a big reason to look into multi-channel selling later on if
Yeah.
the new buyer does want to mitigate against that risk. Obviously, Amazon drives such a gargantuan amount of traffic to these listings that it's kind of the
Yeah.
golden handcuffs, right?
Exactly. That's what it is.
This is
Exactly what it is.
a classic example. As far as work required goes, can you describe the amount and type of work you're doing to maintain this business right now? Like, what is your weekly duties or monthly tasks?
The biggest thing that needs to be done every month or every day is mostly customer support. So we've hired those out. So those are done by the contractors. When we need to order new products, so I correspond with the suppliers, send them emails, tell them the quantities we want. If we want to change anything, we let them know about the changes. And then when it's time to ship the product, we create shipments on Amazon, right? So so basically dealing with suppliers, dealing with new shipments, dealing with inventory. And when we want to launch new products, so we also do a lot of Facebook promotions, Facebook ads.
Okay, so you drive traffic through Facebook ads as well, huh?
But that's at the initial stage of products, right? So that's when we want to
Ah,
launch a new product. Yeah. So when the products are set up and then we get organic traffic from Amazon, we don't do any more Facebook ads for those.
that makes sense. So you do the
Yeah,
Facebook ads to launch and spike it through the algorithm.
exactly.
That makes sense. As far as your contractors go, you mentioned you have three of them. Are these full
Mhm.
time workers for you, or are they part of another contracting firm? Or are they doing part time, kind of like an Upwork freelancer or something along those lines?
Yeah, they are all Upwork freelancers and they probably work about 15 to 20 hours a week.
Excellent.
Sometimes, actually, sometimes less if you think about it. Sometimes, yeah.
And how long have they been with you?
Oh, one has been with us for just about 2 years. I mean, for about 2 years. Over 2 years, he came on together with from the other business that we had, and the ones that work on the UK and the US listings have been with us for just over a year.
Okay, cool. So they've been around for a while. They're not new or
Yes,
anything.
exactly.
Do you use any kind of like software to manage them, like Time Doctor or something like that?
Upwork, they all hire through Upwork, so Upwork handles all that.
Okay, cool. So they're still actually on the Upwork platform for you.
Yes, exactly.
Very
We
cool.
just tend to find that that's easier.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why complicate
Yeah,
something, right?
exactly. Yeah.
For someone that is looking at this business and they want to get involved, but they might not be familiar with this niche, could you describe what kind of skills or requirements there might be for this person? Like, what should they have before they purchase this business?
So the skills that are required to maintain the business is mostly communications, right? You need to be able to communicate with suppliers and be able to understand where they are coming from as well, so that they can understand what you need and how to. So yeah, so that's because that's the main bit of work that I do. Second thing is also to understand how Amazon works, how a listing does well on Amazon. So how to write product titles, how to write a product description, how to get good images. Well, we don't do the images. We also hire a photographer to take the images for us. I'm trying to think what else. And then, of course, if you have to launch new products, you probably need to be able to do a little bit of marketing, like Facebook ads. It's basic Facebook ads. It's not as complicated as like the funnels and everything that you see all around. It's just send people to get a discount on that product, and that's it.
I'm assuming you do the Facebook ads yourself, or do you have that outsourced?
I do myself. I do.
And as far as your photographer, is that a person like in America that you send that product to, or the UK?
He's actually local here, based in the UK. So we just go to him. It's a product photographer, of which there are loads of them. But then he's just a friend of mine. I just go to him, and then he takes the pictures, and then we put them up online.
Excellent.
But I would say the product photography is actually one of the most important things, because I think that's what makes our product sell, right? So if someone was going to take this on, you would need to hire a really, really good product photographer.
Yeah, I agree. That's a
Yeah,
very important piece of Amazon listings real
exactly.
estate. Now, you say you also have a another store that's related to this that are selling this product like off of Amazon, but still being fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, so we have the website. We don't get much traffic from there, but then they just trickle in once in a while. So that's also another opportunity for another seller to come in, sorry, the buyer to come in and actually improve like direct website sales, because that's the best way to diversify off Amazon. So when people order from the website, we fulfill them through Amazon. So Amazon sends the products to the customers.
Now, for that site, is that like a Shopify platform, or what is the site all?
It's based off WooCommerce.
WooCommerce. Okay, cool.
Yeah, WooCommerce. Yeah.
And you don't drive any real traffic to it through your Facebook ads or anything like that?
No, no, not at the moment. No.
Excellent. To wrap this up a little bit here, would you be willing to sign a non-compete? So basically someone comes in, buys this business, and say, hey, look, I'm not going to go start an Amazon FBA business, same exact product next week. Would that be
Oh
something you'd
yeah,
be open
sure,
to? Yeah? Okay.
sure, definitely,
I
sure,
assumed
sure.
you would be.
Exactly.
How much support would you be willing to offer a buyer?
Yeah, so I was saying it's something that we can always support the buyer for. I'm trying to see what I actually wrote in the listing. I'm trying to scroll down just so I can say the same thing. So I'm willing to give about 2 months of support, email support, and then of course telephone calls probably for the first couple of weeks. I mean, or maybe 3 weeks to go through each step, and then we can definitely do a couple of Google Hangouts. But I'm willing to help the person as long as it's very reasonable on my time, definitely.
That makes sense. Now, obviously, the best case scenario for you, best case scenario for Empire Flippers is someone comes in and buys this at the full list price. But would you at
Hmm.
all be open to someone coming to with a split or earn out offer, say 70% upfront, 30% on closing, or 60% upfront, and 40% over the next 4 months based on hitting certain goals. Is that something you would at all be open to?
I may be open to that, but then the earn-out period cannot be too long. I don't know if that makes sense because, as I said, right, I'm really looking forward to starting on the new businesses as soon as possible. So hopefully I'll be able to hand this off and then show the new person how to work with the business, and then probably jump on the new ideas that I have as soon as I can.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, obvious best case scenario for both of us, right? So it goes
Exactly.
to full list price.
But then I can understand that at that level, I mean, like the amount that is listed at is not something that you can probably just drop up front immediately, right? But then hopefully it will be like I'm not looking to go on like a 2 year and up period. That's probably too long. But maybe 3 4 months, that's probably okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was definitely not a business like, oh, let me just put this on my credit card. No big deal. So before I ask you my final question, just to do a quick summary again for the listeners out there, this business was built in August 2014 as a monthly revenue of $163,992, as an expenses sitting at $112,996, with a total net profit of $50,996. Now that is over a 12-month average. And with the business comes all the Amazon US, UK, and German products, the domain with the other e-commerce site that's on WooCommerce, as well as all related social media accounts. So my final question is, what is your best pitch in 30 seconds or less on why someone should purchase this business?
Obviously, it's a business that you can see from the numbers has a healthy balance sheet. The numbers are good. The numbers are good. The numbers are healthy, and it has a good, healthy profit margin. And right now, it's probably the best time to buy because Q4 is just about to start, and it's just going to be better. We had our best ever time during during Q4 last year. So the person if someone is about to buy this, it's probably best to do it right now so you can get all the upside for Q4.
Yeah, and that makes sense. So for those out there watching this presentation, whether you're on YouTube, Daily Motion, or somewhere else listening to this, the link will be below this video that would take you to our actual marketplace listing. Now, if you're watching this on our actual listing and you want more information, you can become a depositor today. All you have to do is click make a deposit and you'll be taken to the next step. So Tape, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Greg. It was my pleasure.